Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. We're going to take a quick look at Aave, and before we do, we usually look at Bitcoin, but I'll just make a separate video for that altogether. But I do highly recommend if you are newer to trading, always understand what Bitcoin is doing so you can properly address altcoins and try to understand if they are synonymous with each other. Coins that break free from Bitcoin are very valuable in a lot of ways because they can essentially make you a lot more money because why wait for Bitcoin, right? Anyways, we'll cover again Bitcoin at a later date, but for now we'll look at Aave. And just before we do, not a financial advisor, love teaching people how to trade. I do this every single day for a living, and I have a trading community. If you're interested in becoming a member, getting to know me better, and more importantly, becoming a better trader, because I have a lot of trading resources that are awesome, and a lot of people are benefiting from that. And ultimately, I do think it's advantageous for a lot of folks. So again, something to consider, of course, but not required. Learn as much as you can from these videos. But I am rolling out with a Trading Academy month end, in case that's of interest to you, or kind of just show you how to become a better trader, start to finish. All right, so let's take a look at Aave. And just to kind of preface here, we want to kind of look at the moving averages first. That's, in my opinion, one of the better things to do on the one-day chart specifically, and we can see we're up over the 50-day SMA, so it's no longer working as resistance, considered to be a support, and we can see this nice little support line kind of driving through here where it was originally tested, but then Bitcoin, of course, sold off first of the year roughly, and we've seen a sell-off ever since. But the bottom came in, and it's nice because the bottom only came down to 185 roughly as the lowest point, and prior to that, 158 was the lowest. Now keep in mind too, Aave has tremendous potential to do very well. I mean, we see here, of course, Bitcoin is at 60,000, pumping hard, and we saw the price upwards of 600 plus. So I get the question a lot, is it going to be 600 again? Well, I think in the long run, yes. Short-term, immediate future, perhaps no. We have to, overcome some major resistance levels and ensure we know what that looks like. But speaking of resistance, why don't we just go ahead and draw out some Fibonacci retracement lines here and kind of get a feel for what's going on, right? Now, at this point in time, there's a few different scenarios you can kind of consider. First of all, we are going to be testing a key level resistance here soon, so we'll see what that looks like. Why don't we touch on the RSI first? And this is something I think is important because this does tell us that we're above a key level resistance, which essentially, if you see 50 on the RSI, it means that there's some type of resistance that you likely just recently broke. And the simple fact of the matter is the relative strength index tells us, a lot about if something's oversold and overbought, but 50 on the RSI is an overlooked indicator, in my personal opinion. I think it's probably the more important one you could use. And what I just mean by that is when you see 50 on the RSI, it's oftentimes a resistance if the price is coming up or support is coming down. So we broke through that resistance plane. Therefore, you can see right here at about 227 was that previous resistance. So we can consider that a new support level. Also, we got the 50-day simple moving average working just below that as well. So we got a nice little support channel here, somewhere in between right around 218 and 227. So all good stuff there. We've also got a MACD convergence here, potential on the the one-day chart, which is equally as important to have that, knowing that we kind of have the momentum shifted in the right direction. Okay, so in essence, when you take the MACD convergence, when the 12 is intersecting with the 26 in an upward fashion, it just tells us that the bears are losing control and the bulls are gaining control on a larger time frame. That is very important and good to understand, and notoriously used as just a traditional swing trade signal, right? So if you look back here, just say, for example, on December 16th, the same thing applied, right? December 16th, we got a MACD convergence, and what do you know? A few days later, the price jumped up a significant percent, somewhere in the range of 70% within about a week, okay? Not to say that's a guarantee it's going to happen again, but the likelihood of that is fairly high, right? Because again, the shift in momentum has occurred. Now, granted, Bitcoin sells off on Monday, different story. Aave is susceptible to those sell-offs, even though it's done very well in the last 48 hours. It's doing well because Bitcoin isn't doing poorly. If that makes any sense, right? Again, another reason why you look at Bitcoin. Anyways, moving on to the 4-hour time frame, we can see a pretty strong continuation here. In fact, we're probably getting close to an end of this potential run. In other words, we're at an 8 on TD sequential, just telling us that the 4th previous candlesticks are lower, and in turn it counts up to a 9. When you get to a 9, that is one of those cases in point where you hit a 9, you probably see a turnaround on the actual price action. Okay, so that going into a major resistance level here, we could see some resistance and the price consolidates right at that area, leading us to maybe have a breakout potential, or more importantly, oftentimes this happens where the price will consolidate and come back down to the next key level support, which we've already established is 227. Okay, so 227 will probably hold the price action right now, and I think that's a good sign if the price were to come back down. So don't be surprised or concerned if the price retraces down to 227. That'd be an awesome place to consider taking entry. Not to say it's overextended right now completely, but we've got about 4 hours left in this push before the price should max out, right? And what I mean by that, if you take a look here, the previous most recent push, we went from a 1 all the way up to a 9. And what do you know? We got 4 hours, about 8 hours consolidation, and the price started to recede, okay? Again, is there a guarantee that's going to happen every time? No. But oftentimes when you get up to an 8 or a 9, for example, like we can see here, we got an 8, price comes back down, eventually lost its support. Came down to a 9, reset, and came back up to an 8. So oftentimes, Aave is repeating the same behavior, right? It's hitting 8s and resetting or retracing. So we can expect consolidation or retracement somewhere in the channel between 227 upwards of about 243. Okay, so that's the strong likelihood there in that sense. Taking a look here at, the 1 hour, let's go ahead and take a peek over at the Ichimoku cloud. We have all good signs here. We're above the cloud, conversion lines over the baseline, and of course, we've got the price above the cloud itself. Okay, so all good things here from Aave. So there's really no reason for it to want to slow down, so to speak, in the big picture. But I do feel like the immediate short term, like the midterm, so to speak, and the short term, we're going to see a correction and a turnaround here. Because we look at this here as well, we're well past overtime too. In other words, we've got about 7 hours worth of continuation to the upside when, truth be told, the price should have came back down, right? So if you're overextended on the 4 hour and you're overextended on the 1 hour, the likelihood of it turning around is higher, okay? So to me, I see that the price retracing, I wouldn't say significantly, but again, the likelihood of it coming down to 227 is fairly high. So I'm just going to go ahead and set an alert for 228, just to be on the safe side. That way I'm alerted if the price comes back down there, and might be a good place to go ahead and consider buying the dip, right? Oh, whoops. Okay, I did that incorrectly, but you want to make sure to have an alert set right at the point in which you want to see a turnaround. And the likelihood of it turning around 228, I think, is fairly high, just based on the fact that it's overextended on both charts, okay? So again, that's kind of how that works. Ultimately, what we're looking for here is a turnaround and the price to consolidate. Big picture too, as far as dollar cost averaging, say the price were to retrace back down and we get Bitcoin selling off here in the immediate future. Well, obviously a few key targets would be right around 210 or 190. Those would be my dollar cost average targets. And as far as take profit targets, again, it depends on your take profit percentage where you took entry, but a good take profit target might be somewhere around the range of 290, 295, right in that range. That could net you about 22% from the current price point, or if the price comes down to bounce off 227, then we're looking at about a 30% gain. Those are ultimately what you're looking for on a swing trade as an initial profit target. Your first profit target should be in the range of 20 to 30% if you are swing trading correctly. Again, you're only using a small percentage of your portfolio too, by the way. Keep this in mind. I am not telling you to take 100% of your portfolio and put it into Aave right now. That's not what you do. Yes, you'd maximize your gains when that happens, but you restrict yourself from any other options while trading. And why put all your eggs in one basket? A good trader diversifies and understands that. Unless, of course, you're day trading, that's a different story. And I have a full in-depth series of videos on day trading in my academy that I'm rolling out with month end. So just keep that in mind. This is not a scenario for that. Wait for the retrace, wait for the correction, and of course, take entry at the appropriate time with the right amount of percentage and or dollar cost average if you already have a position open. Aave is going to do some really good things. I firmly believe it's a good coin worth holding on to. So I am confident in saying that we will see, $300 to $400 quite easily, but $500 or $600 closer to later in the year, I think is very likely there. Okay. So I hope you found benefit here, of course. If so, like, subscribe, comment below, whatever the case is. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you're not currently a member, consider joining. Looking forward to working with you. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one.